Erzsebet, you took part in a panel discussion here at the FTTH Council event on do we really need fibre? Before you give me your points, tell me a little bit about ECTA, the organisation that you represent.
ECTA is the European Competitive Telecommunications Association, Brian, and we represent the challenger operators of Europe, so really the challengers to the former monopolist incumbent operators who typically provide competitive and innovative broadband and triple play services. They are also the so-called mobile entrants, and thirdly, business service providers, often offering services to pan-European multinationals, for example.
Okay, so what was your input to the session today?
I think it is very important to bear in mind that competition is really the best way for Europe to explore its digital future. And therefore, I think the path towards that digital future will actually really define the outcome. So I think from this perspective, it is extremely important that regulation, that policy actually supports and focuses on enabling competition and enabling competitors to invest efficiently in their own networks and to compete and to innovate.
Yes, I would imagine that your membership therefore are very, very much in favour of this concept of building open networks.
Indeed. Of course, challenger operators tend to provide access to others when they build their own networks, but equally when you think about fixed broadband networks, you should think about them as being very similar to, for example, electricity lines or water pipes or gas pipes, so that you can never really create effectively competition by expecting that there will be, 4 or 5 of those lines going into one single home. So therefore, actually having access to those very last miles of the fixed broadband network is the best and proven way to actually create competition, to create affordable prices for end users and innovative products. And therefore, of course, I think it is very important that regulation going forward refocuses on making sure that the broadband markets, when it comes to very high speeds, often supported by fibre, are competitive and they really deliver affordability innovation to the end user.
Yes, now of course there is going to be a telecoms review coming up by the EU. So what would you like them to see, like you to see them do?
I think that a key challenge, and I would argue that a key task of the revision of the EU's telecoms framework, is really to make sure that in the next generation of broadband, the market will remain effectively competitive, or rather it will become effectively competitive. There is a very high risk, and we see developments in this regard today, that Europe would slide back on competition. Indeed, in some of the high-speed broadband markets, the incumbent operators are really regaining market share. So you can see up to 70% retail market share. That is very worrying, and that should be a worrying sign. So I think it is of utmost importance that when it comes to next generation broadband networks, regulation focuses on creating competition, not letting Europe slide back, and also that regulation with the so-called physical access products like unbundling and subloop unbundling actually ensures that alternative competitive operators can invest in their own networks and compete effectively with the former monopolies or other networks.
Erzsebet, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, Brian.
So a call there from ECTA for more and more competition in the marketplace.